Yep, and I can just tell you right off, we are probably not going to have nearly as much to say about our two Oak compatriots here. A lot of new players in Oak. We're still learning about them. We learn about them on these casts, frankly, the most.
Yep.
So just anxious to see what the picks and bans are and get right into it.
Yep, let me bring those up right now.
Yep.
All right.
Our players here are Harren, and I think. Oh,
yeah. Good luck with that. Good luck.
Yeah,
with
do you want to risk this one, Dowsy? Who's going to be the fool here? Who's going to try it?
Yglini is the most obvious choice to me, and if it's not, then choose a better name.
Fair enough. Yeah, Yglini. It sounds like a pasta. I don't know.
Is there a flag on the?
There is. It is. Let's see. Let me look it up. Whoops. I just left the SCL.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
is that Portugal?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I believe that's Portugal. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then
we do have a few Portuguese players. Piers, I think, is the most famous one. If I remember.
Wait. You got it right, apparently.
Yep.
So what did you say?
Yglini, kind of like I said, kind of an Italian pronunciation.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, well, that makes sense. If it's Portuguese, then yeah.
There we go.
And I retract my statement of the better name.
Well, they can still change their name. As you see the /Steam there, they have that option. So your suggestion / admonishment is actually an option.
There you go. It's true.
All right. Anyway, well, let me bring up picks and bans. Here we go, and let me bring up my fancy screen. All right. So here we go. First up, Harren. I guess we're gonna go with. That's. Oh, come on! What are you guys doing to me? I want to see some. They banned Tayan again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cletus.
Nobody. I mean, to be honest, I just have not seen enough Tayan play. That's all right.
None of us have.
That is sad. But anyway, next ban will be Modern. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Am I doing this right? Yep. All right. So the first pick will be a doubled ballroom.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I like ballroom. I've been doubling it fairly often. Ooh, all right. So, Yglini is making up for it by doubling courtyard. Nice.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I do want to point out, Kletos, am I the first person to win courtyard chicken against you? There haven't been many, right? Usually you win those stare downs.
Yeah, usually I don't. Usually I don't pick courtyard.
Right, people pick it for you. I was determined going into our match, not going to pick courtyard. I wonder if you will. And no, we both lost courtyard.
Yeah, no, honestly I haven't been picking courtyard in general.
Yeah,
because it's really not my best map.
Well, Harren wins.
All right. Anyway, yep, Harren does win. Anyway, the next pick, very common one, library. And the final pick, kind of an interesting one, would be pub, if we get there.
Oh.
Okay, so this is really interesting, this draft. This draft, to me, just screams Challenger SCL4. It feels to me like these are the maps that players, excluding Tayan, obviously, since it wasn't a map that was available last year, these are the maps that players lent into with their bans and their picks. It feels very classic to me as a player who played in Challenger last season.
Yeah, if you exclude Aquarium, which you should because it's not available in SCL, at least for the moment, these are the two newest, biggest, scariest kind of maps that have been banned. So you're right, it does feel a lot like last year, where a lot of people banned Modern just because they hadn't had any time with it yet. And you're certainly seeing that, I think, with Tayan this year.
All right, anyway, I am ready to go here. It looks like Harren starting us off as Andrew Ryan or Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like since Tobo's thing is in 3, 2, 1, go, or whatever it is, I have to come up with my own.
Oh yeah, it's 3, 2, 1 playing it. Which 3, 2, 1
playing it, exactly.
A few times in a row 3 years ago, and then it became a thing, and now it's a bigger
thing. Bloom made a song out of it. It was very good. I was thinking I would go with Ready, Set, Go, and Go would be the start. Right. Are you guys happy with that?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you're fine. Did you say you're not?
No, I'm fine. Go for it.
I thought we were going to have beef here, Kletos.
No, we're all right. We're all right.
We're good.
No rivalry here. Go for it.
Harren versus Yglini in... Oh, I can't say in. Ready, Set, Go.
Ready, steady.
I'm considering this already as not the way to go. But either way,
you'll think of
Harren
something.
Opening things up with Walt on the map of Ballroom in the conversation with our seduction target for a long-range flirt of 18%. And it's categorically not the worst flirt possible.
Yeah, by 1 whole percentage point. And by the way, I think you should come up with a new one for every single game. That won't throw you off, right? You can handle that.
Every steady.
Well, you did say ready, steady, go. So ready, set, go is still there on the table. So you can kind of pad this out a little bit.
We could go for what's the classic Bono uno dos tres.
Yeah. And then I think he switches languages at the end.
Yeah. Uno dos tres, general.
Yeah. Right. Well, we do have the Portuguese player with the Italian name here, so we're all over the place linguistically.
That's true. Harren will step over to the green bookshelf and does pick up the action test microfilm transfer here. So green microfilm in a pocket. We're going to step back into our conversation here with a seduction target for a much closer flirt to bring us closer to a mission completion there. And we hit another white here, so up to 52, but still in range for that 3 flirt if we were able to get a green test next time.
Yeah, green book, green test, and a green arrow over their head, and that's not going to be seen too often on Ballroom either. Those green microfilms work really well, especially if you time them moderately well. Say a tray going down, ambassador vulnerable. That's usually all it takes to get away with it.
Contact does come through. 1-2 highlights taken here. Actually, only 2 lowlights available. But we do go for the purloin straight off the contact, and a big fat highlight going the way of Harren.
That is not a green. That is a white, and he's glowing white, and he's in big trouble now.
Innocent sip at the painting. Maybe not so innocent, though. Harren going to be looking to head back over towards this blue bookshelf. We want to complete our microfilm, but once we've been highlit, very difficult to get away with that microfilm animation.
And this is a little spy-like. Go somewhere, sip, go to another place, sip immediately, go to a third place, just sip, 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 get rid of the drink. You're spacing it out so evenly, so equidistant that it looks calculated.
Going to be a white test microfilm, and that big animation as you look away is so obvious when you're staring someone down. First win of the series going over to Yglini. Am I saying that right? I'm not, am I?
Yglini? I think if you're not right, you're very close.
I mean, I'm from Australia, right? And sorry to Sergio or other Spanish native speakers watching the cast, because the popular card game, with the 4 colors and different
Uno?
Cards. Well, yeah, that's what you call it, and correctly. In Australia, that is very well known as
Oh no.
And so Spanish being a language that clearly my very Aussie tongue not capable of picking up whatsoever.
That's one language that doesn't translate down there. Yeah,
does not translate. Yeah, unfortunately. But regardless, we do have our second game ready to jump into. Is there something on your end, Klitos, or are you just loading next game?
Yeah, I'm good now. I was having little issues here, but I think we're good now.
No worries. Cool. So we will be jumping into it. I'm just going to go with 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Oh,
already given up. I've already given up.
After a not so valiant effort, gives up after one attempt.
It just felt so wrong. Ready, set,
doesn't it?
go.
Yeah.
Some traditions are too hard to break. And...
yeah, maybe the people in chat can come up with some ideas. Let's crowdsource this. What's the internet good for?
Some traditions too hard to break, and stepping into a conversation and flirting, one of them here.
Yes, maybe the tradition in Spy Party.
For sure. Going to pick that up, and I'm always interested to see how aggressive players feel, especially in the earlier games of their sets here in SCL. I feel like your early games are the time to really test your opponent if you're unfamiliar and go for something a little bit daring.
I think that's absolutely right. I think newer players now, they watch streams, they have replays, casts, all that stuff. So they actually understand high-level strategies and decision-making pretty well. It's the execution that usually suffers. So in that case, you actually have an idea of how best to test a new sniper. You know how to do it in your mind. Whether or not you can do it as cleanly as you would like is another matter. So I agree with you completely. I think make them catch you. We mentioned a white purloin earlier. We've acted like that was the game over, but you have to remind yourself these are newer players, and they're going to get away with stuff like that disproportionately compared to the other games we usually cast.
And I mean, purloining after a contact, there's nothing wrong with that. That is a tried and tested method here in Spy Party, very successful. And so, you know, definitely nothing of criticism there. It's really unfortunate that, I guess, for Harren, that it was being watched so carefully by Yglini here. Another way to test your opponent, in my opinion, is to soft tail finish. And Yglini has set himself up, or themselves up perfectly for that here. With the fingerprint from the side statue, we've got so much partial progress and a conversation so tempting to step into with our seduction target and the double agent. Time to go for it, and then potentially over towards the blue bookshelf to finish our fingerprint off.
Totally agree. Newer players learn to camp in beginner mode after a while, and soft tail finishes are just so powerful against newer snipers sometimes. If they catch you, good for them, but put them to that test. So far, this is looking like a much higher level spy game already.
Fortunately, that blue bookshelf print does become smudged here. Yglini does decide to make the move, though, to go over and attempt a difficult fingerprint instead, it seems. And this is not a bad idea. To kind of bet your game on a difficult fingerprint here. Allows for you to set up, but unfortunately the fingerprint doesn't come through. And I think that we're actually going to just straight up green test microfilm instead. We've got even more options.
Harren was zooming in on teal to get the highlight. Very interesting. You see this from new snipers sometimes. Their laser precision, it's not second nature yet, so they will zoom in for highlights and lowlights to make sure they get them sometimes, and that can cost them. It certainly did here.
Perfect position for a walk-by bug if Yglini wanted to go for it. We got the green test on our Seduce here. A contact and then into bug could be perfect, and we're going to attempt it. There it is. The bug comes out from Yglini. It's practically hidden on sniper cam. You have to infer it.
You got a time ad.
I think it did happen. Yeah, 18 seconds. I don't think we actually have time to finish. You're going to have to put this microfilm into the book and then somehow find the fourth mission here. There we go. Will we go for it? No. We're not. 6 seconds. Yglini's freezing. Starting the microfilm test up.
Did they forget the mission count?
Potentially. Yeah.
The last 30 seconds of that game just make no sense. And a lot of that was impressive, but you did see the lack of experience at the end, for sure. There's just no way to finish there. I can sort of see maybe grabbing the book and going to Windows. Maybe. I think you go to Windows first, though. You have to give yourself a way to finish. Once you bug, you can inspect swap. Maybe just inspect into BB at the very last second. But going to bookshelves is questionable. Staying at bookshelves is questionable. And then microfilming with 5 seconds left, you're guaranteeing the game's not gonna finish in time. I actually wonder if they thought they had one more mission in there somewhere.
I think it's just it's so typical. We saw it a lot last season in Challenger. You just panic. You aren't sure. You haven't quite hit that matrix level of the code just streaming in front of your eyes, where the missions flow just seems so perfect. And that's really I feel like a real transitioning point for young spies and snipers in Spy Party is when they do get that more confidence with how to flow from mission site to mission site and complete. That's when they really hit a new level, and potentially for Yglini, not quite there yet.
It was a very good bug, though. I think it's worth pointing out.
A very good bug, for sure. Yeah, no, and so this is the thing that's I think Warning Track has always been surprised by, is the newer players' fantastic mechanical ability in the game. A lot of people pick that element up very quickly. It's just some of the high level decision making sometimes that really differs the players, the old guard from the new. Regardless, 1-1 here on Ballroom. We're going to move into a second spy game for Harren in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I think they are aware of high-level strategies, the execution suffers, and the pacing, it seems like, is the very last thing to develop after thousands of games. It actually reminds me of chess. There are players who are very good at chess in general, but then there's a whole different skill set that some people will measure separately, the end game of chess, when there's only a few pieces left. There is definitely an end game in Spy Party where you maximize your chances of winning with just 30 seconds left when the game doesn't work out the way you wanted, and that takes a long time to get good at.
Certainly does. It's really unfortunate as well, because games like that, we could have been at 3 mission completes very easily, and then you're just looking for that fourth one, and the bug became available.
It's a very winnable game. Very winnable.
Exactly. It's one of those things that with time you definitely become there. Illegal briefcase return, unfortunately, there from Harren. Did want to return it to the ambassador, but we noticed a little bit too late that the ambassador was currently reading, and so an AI would normally just put the briefcase down on the spot when they become in range of sight. So they're again, these players both new to the Spy Party competitive league here, playing in the newly formed Oak division. We won't be too I guess, harsh on our criticism.
No. But they want to know, don't they? You can
Exactly.
You can stop. You should stop. You must stop. Much farther away from the bookcase there. Actually, pretty big range. I think you could have taken a step or two at most and put it down immediately when you saw the ambassador was busy.
Now we have an opportunity to statues and pick up not only just a flirt, but also finish our inspects here. Harren deciding to go against it. We have a fingerprint, and maybe we're looking to find our second fingerprint here, get that mission completed. Almost moving in a linear fashion, Warning Track.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Just bit by bit, and actually kind of similar to the previous game too. Partial inspects, partial seduce, one fingerprint, plenty of options, and there's a that took.
Yeah, and I think Queen might have one of the better standing bugs because part of her idle animation is when she leans down to the right or to the left even to pet Mog in the purse, and so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to know whether or not it's a standing bug or just an idle animation, and so Harren opportunistic play pays off.
Yeah, she's one of those characters I've occasionally shot for her idol, mistaking it for a bug, but that works the other way too, doesn't it? Sometimes you think, well, that's just her normal lean. No, it's not. It's a hard tell. And now, if Harren doesn't have the same sort of pacing issues, they should be able to win this game.
Oh dear. Bit of a pathing error does get spotted here by Yglini. We finish our fingerprint off at the green bookshelf, putting the book back very swiftly as well. Maybe drawing a bit of extra attention unnecessarily to ourselves here. We want to finish our flirt, and we want to finish the contact. Both AIs in separate conversations, but very close. There's the flirt, very fast talk, and oh wow. Yglini feeling very confident that they have found the spy.
That game fell apart all at once, just with that little move at the end. That's a really nice recovery from Yglini, and a really good spy game from Harren before. Just very impressive on both sides, frankly. It just takes one little mistake. Usually in Oak, the sniper doesn't punish you that harshly for one little mistake, but they did here.
Yeah, fantastic stuff coming through from Yglini. Now we have an opportunity on the spy side, I suppose, to find the win that they are looking for on this ballroom pick. We'll get into it in just a second here. Going to be playing Kane.
I'm just re-showing the bug right now.
Yeah.
Pretty
well
good.
Worth another look. Absolutely.
And not to mention, you have an AI returning briefcase at the same time. So you've got that visual clutter. You're probably even staring the AI returning the briefcase far more closely than anyone else in that conversation. So great timing, extremely opportunistic, and lovely stuff coming through. Just unfortunate that the pathing error, I think, really brought heat to us as we got that fingerprint. Regardless, Harren can equalize with a correct shot here. Yglini playing to try and take the lead in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
You're one of us now. There's no escaping it. 3, 2, 1 playing it is mandatory.
It's just so much easier.
It's nice and easy. It's got a nice casual.
One day, Checker will invent a tool where it syncs us all up. He's been saying it for years, but no.
We'll probably say it anyway at this point.
I mean, the tool. I mean, if the tool doesn't say it for us.
Yes, we're going to demand a tool that speaks it for us. Let's automate everything.
Yeah, a robotic Toboshi voice, I believe, would be either that or we don't want it.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's a good point. A lot of jobs might be replaced by automation someday, but Tobo, I'm just going to say not one of them.
Very strong start here for Yglini. Going to step away from conversation, however. I was wondering if Seek was actually going to come to us, but as it turns out, he does head over towards the statues and picks up a highlight for himself. And importantly, Small Man and a statue with a highlight as well. And I mean, me and you go back and forth on this, the supposed suspicion of Small Man, but
yeah.
I definitely feel with newer players, some of the players I've played against especially, they do lean into the Small Man cheese whenever possible, so rightfully you could be suspicious of Small Man.
I mean, just based on how often we talk about it, we're probably partially responsible.
It's our fault, yeah. No.
Yeah, it's all on us.
Bit of an etiquette break there from Yglini. Always sip instantly when you arrive at statues to pick them up. The only exception would be if you arrived at statues for the briefcase. And so kind of things that newer players can get picked up on if they ever go up against someone who's shooting for that. But I mean, I say this a lot. If the sniper doesn't shoot for it, then it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah, and things like that, and book etiquette and things, and little edge cases, briefcase, those are generally the last things to develop on both sides of the rifle.
Banana bread.
Contact does come through. Going to be our first mission completion here, and a couple of lowlights available here for Harren. more importantly, highlight conversions to lowlights as well, which can be equally as important. We do take the guest list and then we jump into a conversation and gulp our drink, which would be another etiquette break, but this one more of an aggressive etiquette break because we're trying to hide something.
Yep.
And so far, no shot has come through for us. In fact, the shot comes through for Walt.
I was just about to say, Harren only saw the list as Walt took it, and Walt did something very helpful to the spy, which is left right afterwards as if they were running away. In that scenario, I actually feel like you want to give them an opportunity to maybe gulp before shooting if you don't think it's the last mission, but they don't. They take the shot, and that is a spy win.
Spy win for Yglini, and more importantly, converting for a 3-1 lead, I believe it would be here on Ballroom. Yeah, and when you watch it back from the sniper cam, noticing the guest list is gone as Walt takes the drink. In theory, you could even low light Walt based on the on-screen information that we had, but that's when the experience does start to show itself.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Harren, the rock shot does come through. Now we head to Courtyard, a very fun map. I want to talk about this a little bit with you, Track, but let's get the game rolling before we do that. So 3, 2, 1, playing it. Courtyard is a map that is very interesting to me because in reality, it actually has a lot of skill cap to it, being one of the first maps that had a occlusion to it, right? You know, the statue blocks about a fourth of the party or a third, depending on the angle, and which allows spies to play around that quite well based on what the sniper will give to them. But despite it having a lot of ways that you can play it and succeed on it, it actually is a very linear map. Because the hardtails available to you are very few in between. And so whilst you can have a lot of creativity in how you actually get those hardtails come across, the fact that there is only bug, purloin, and swap really kind of minimizes I guess the differences that you would hope from a map. And so whilst it has a lot of spy freedom on it, it also doesn't at the same time, and it creates kind of a paradox in how people feel about it.
Yeah, there are a few reasons for that, I think. One, obviously, the high viewing angle. Purloin is just that much easier to see. The fade is very easy to check on. Another being the speed. You can see right here, and from the sniper cam, they rotate so fast. So they can check on things very, very quickly. Things are almost never off screen for long unless the sniper forgets about them. The other being that the nature of statues and the fact that you have to pause before picking them up and putting them down and lock onto the pad, it means that it's very easy to check on swaps sporadically and still be totally up on it. Obviously, yeah, if you had a couple bookshelves on here, things might get a little more interesting without occlusion, but right now, the speed of the sniper's rotation is such that if they are on the ball, they can always see what's happening.
Exactly. We will get our inspects done here nice and early. One of 3 highlights on the table right now. Almost unspy-like to get inspects done early on Courtyard, some would consider, but really looking over the time, it's not actually that early. It's around the 1 minute 30 mark. Now we're trying for a fingerprint. We actually hit the green test, but we stand still the whole time. Stepping into conversation here because the ambassador was walking our way and we dropped the briefcase. We now can get our flirt to finish that one off. How do we finish is the real question. We still have to contact Twin is on the other side of the map, and we need a fingerprint as well, which would require right now us to head over to the statue that the ambassador is holding.
Now,
maybe
I don't
you
know.
go with swap and fingerprint.
I don't know, but I don't know if an Oak sniper is going to credit this, notice it, but those are the same statues you already inspected, which is something at least. Could lose some heat doing that, but no, they want to go for the briefcase.
And this briefcase has no fingerprint on it. We already took it. So this play from Harren potentially... Whoa. Oh, purloining. Whoa, okay. Okay, yeah. Were we just hiding with the briefcase in hand? No, we put it down. Okay, the shot comes through. Bit of panic, I think, potentially from Harren there. Thought the fingerprint, the briefcase would have another fingerprint on it. And then improvises with a purloin on the spot.
Wow.
Doesn't work out, unfortunately.
That felt like another promising spy game. They keep getting away with these fingerprints, making steady soft-tail progress as one of several significant suspects in line to finish and force the sniper to take a very difficult shot for something like 1.5 prints. By half print, I mean, of course, a difficult. But they just are not able to complete these games. They just, in the last minute, things keep falling apart, and they are making suboptimal choices when they do.
Yeah, and very unfortunate in that situation. And I mean, the purloin, you have to make a make or break play towards the end of Courtyard if you haven't got the hardtail done yet already. But I guess the briefcase pickup there was the real telling moment of that game. Knowing that there was no fingerprint there, us knowing with our absolute information as casters, it's really unfortunate there for Harren. Regardless, a chance to keep things a little bit closer to home if they can convert some sniper games here. Yglini trying to steam away with a spy win on Courtyard as Alice in 3, 2, 1 playing it. AI controlling into conversation. It wasn't the prettiest of entries either. Now, very AI-like, of course, but it's almost that Yomi level of spies. Newer players may see a very AI-like movement and go, wow, that was really weird, so they must be the spy. Equally, going back to the same statue again could be considered just as suspicious to a newer player. We're trying to BB split here. We contact and then head over to statues. Didn't look like Harren rotated far enough around the statue to even see that Yglini was there, which may actually result in a highlight rather than the low light, and it does, yeah.
Yep, and knocked out 2 early statue visitors on the other side. And they were on the other side, by the way. They never saw that conversation entry that you mentioned because there was a giant freaking statue in the way.
Yeah, no, and so really unfortunate there because if we were noticed on the original rotate, then maybe the BB split, the contact, leaving conversation as quickly as possible into statues could be rewarded. But just rotating not far enough there, Harren, and gets rewarded, I suppose, due to it with a highlight rather than a low light.
It's always interesting to me how so many of our maneuvers as spy count on the sniper catching a lot of things, but not quite everything. If they catch everything, we lose. If they catch nothing, sometimes our best laid plans foil us like they did there with the split. You want them to catch a lot of stuff, but not that last little bit. And in this case, you actually wonder if that maneuver would have worked if the sniper had been a little more on the ball.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a move that you want the sniper to see. You want him to be credited for your effort there with a BB split, and so a bit unfortunate. We do step out of conversation. I think we're trying to whittle this timer down a little bit quicker. Not very far away from Queen though, so may not help us too much. But we do get our expiry there. We've stepped back into conversation. We are going to have to do at least 2 more flirts here. I mean, we will have to do 2 more flirts unless the last flirt is cancelled. Then it would be 3.
Yeah, we'll see.
Now we're in a very tough position. Contact done, inspect done, 45 seconds on our flirtation timer. And currently Yglini feels very confident with stepping out of conversation, stepping back into conversation, being a little bit reckless with the flirts. We do have an opportunity now to stand next to the ambassador, get a flirt, and maybe even a bug. Really interested to see how we do decide to finish this. Offer, Purloin, it is green, reject comes through. Now all we have to do is flirt, and maybe we have a mission win.
This is big, but that reject was just on screen, and they're getting burned for Purloin left and right.
Purloin has come through. Sniper hasn't shown that they have seen it yet. Watching, oh, we did see it, and we think it may be the AI who took it. Shot comes through. Good timing, bad shot, unfortunately, and it is going to be another spy win for Yglini.
I saw it was gone, but not how it faded away. That's the difference. You can see it if you want to, but if you get just a little bit lax, if you miss that fade and you're worried that it's the last mission they've done, in this case, I don't think she'd been to statue, so you have to credit a lot, maybe. I think a little more presence of mind, and maybe you hold that shot. Not that it would have made any difference. But, you know, it's funny, we mentioned snipers catching all the things, wanting them to catch some things. I had a casual ballroom game a couple of years ago, got away with a Purloin. A minute later, I decided to take an innocent drink because that should lose me some heat if I have any, right? That's when they decide to notice the list is gone a full minute after it took place, and I've just taken a drink and I get shot for the wrong reason. You just never know. The game works in funny ways.
And that's something a player from Oak is likely to see, but there was a pretty long stretch of no talking in the conversation where the Purloin happened. It was, I mean, almost 30 seconds of just nobody
so
talking.
that means that requires, you know, sips from AIs and the yellow icon to come to us multiple times in a row. So
wow. Good catch. On we go. Harren's in big trouble now, though, down 5-1.
It's not a position you want to be here, but we've seen massive comebacks already this season in SCL. It was only a couple of weeks ago that Alex Air managed to come back from a 6-0 deficit against K-Mars to tie the series up in, I believe it's Copper. So, you know, stranger things have happened, Warning Track. We'll have to see if Harren can pull impossibles here. As Rocker in 3, 2, 1, playing it. I mean, you always hope for the underdog, don't you? In any situation.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this a little bit on cast. Not only do you tend to root for the underdog, that's a natural, universal competitive thing, but we also tend to root, similarly, for the spy in any given game, because they are, very often, the underdog.
So if the spy is the underdog, then you can guarantee someone in Spy Party is rooting for them. Going to be a fingerprint early here for Harren. Walking very close to the ambassador at the statues. Another unfortunate illegal briefcase return. But again, it doesn't matter. The sniper doesn't, have as much knowledge on the briefcase. If you both are fairly equal in that situation, then how you do briefcase doesn't really have too much an effect. We are going to contact, though. Some lowlights coming through. And actually, the double agent bails on us. This is perfect. Harren might get away with contact without even being credited for it.
But like a lot of newer snipers, the emphasis was on who was out and not who could have done a reel. It's the more experienced snipers increasingly that are flipping that script and paying more attention to who could have a real BB. Really just taking the 2 lowlights in this case, so might not get as much benefit as they would, again, against a more experienced sniper. That's going to be a common theme tonight, I think.
Very unfortunate there for Harren. Decides to flirt after the statue pickup, and the seduction target does decide to step out. We actually only go for 1 fingerprint. Oh, okay. Getting stuck on the sauna, but it's off camera. I wonder if Harren wants to go back to statues fingerprint and swap and really try to be less suspicious by visiting statues twice.
Yeah, you could see 1 mission done and 3 others with partial progress. You'd think, unless the party really gives you some kind of gift of an opportunity, you'd want to finish all those. And the Amba going to statues, that works awfully well with this plan.
Yeah, because that's the same statue we've just been to. So it will allow us to head back to statues, pick up our fingerprint, pick up our final flirt as well afterwards. Oh, and we go for the bug off camera as well. Harren pulls it off. We don't even have to do all of that now warning track. We need to flirt and then find our 4th mission here. And it could be a fingerprint from a drink. It could be a briefcase.
I mean, you could just inspect fingerprint that statue and win. Right now.
Yeah, seduce a little safer, but there's so many options. I said, that they should probably just finish their missions unless the party gave them a huge opportunity, and it did, and they took advantage, and Harren is so close to getting a desperately needed spy win.
Harren going to pick up the briefcase here, looking to return it to the ambassador here. 2nd briefcase return coming through from Harren. Fingerprint has been completed, and the sniper cam does seem to be watching us just a little bit.
But they're not going to shoot for a flirt here, I don't think. I just don't see how.
So. You wouldn't think so. So will Harren opt to flirt or to seduce? That's the real question. They're both the same options. Inspect was meant to be the other one. Dalsy.exe shutting down. Bit far range. Should be enough, though, at 76% for a white test. And Harren can wait. Be patient with this. Gonna go for it. Mission complete countdown. Sniper cam seems to be hovering around us, but that could just be because of Amber's position. It looks like a spy win for Harren. Gonna find it. Put it on the board.
Yeah, you mentioned being an underdog, a spy, being an underdog, being behind. You're both in this case. You're an exponential underdog. Everyone's really rooting for you, and you come through with 4.5 missions on Courtyard. And this match is not quite over.
It's really good, because considering earlier on in the series, Harren kind of had a lot of mission progress at one point and on Ballroom, and just kind of let things get away from them. I think it was Harren, maybe it was Yglini, but definitely in this situation, we did execute with the mission win, found the missions necessary to pull it out. Now, if we can just find a shot onto Yglini, that scoreline doesn't look anywhere near as threatening. On Courtyard, as Seek Yglini looking to try and keep this lead alive with a spy win in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, though, we didn't actually see a corrective action about the timing issue with all that partial progress because they got the bug, which happened very quickly and opened the game up. I was actually really looking forward to them finishing the slow, steady-paced game there, but it didn't actually happen. I still think it's the right decision, but for purposes of evaluating whether or not they're going to improve the problems we've seen with pacing early on, we still don't know.
Starting off in an innocent conversation, going to leave it and find our seduction target on the other side of the Courtyard here. Want to pick up a nice strong flirt early, and the green test is just that, 51% at the close range.
And when you're having problems pacing a spy, getting that flirt done quickly can cover a multitude of pacing sins.
to see how Yglini wants to mission complete here. I always feel like it's better to attempt a hardtail before you get highlight in every situation, but courtyard especially so. So do you want a bug? Do you want a purloin? These are the kind of things you're considering at this moment before you do head to statues. Seems like Yglini doesn't agree with me. Does step into the statue pad, and oh, we missed the pad, and we get the highlight. We're standing horizontally, and I think that's the kind of thing that Harren will be very suspicious of.
Yeah, there was a big pause there, and Yglini did the right thing. You play it cool, you wait, and then you walk away. That's all you can do at that case, unless you think they're not going to see it at all, but they did. But now, suddenly, they're in huge, huge trouble. That green purloin, not as likely to work now.
Purloin does come through, like you mentioned. It is Queen to take it. And look at the sniper cam. We're actually just following Seek around here. We're not looking at the Ambassador at all. We're not looking at Toby at all. We're looking at Seek. Seeing what Seek does next. Flirt comes off for a 34%. Knocking us up to 85 here. One more Flirt to do it. I think we may have just seen the Purloin because highlights are starting to come through for potential Purloin here. So maybe the green Purloin is unseen. However, when things are unseen, warning track, what do you fall back on?
Yeah, what do you fall back on? Memory at best, and maybe you start to question yourself anyway on that front. Seek was off screen for a while there, so the earlier laser movement might have been incidental, as it turns out. They might have gotten away with this.
Contact comes through. Seek in conversation with the double agent, and we stop talk. Shot will come through. Seems like Harren was all over that missed pad at the statues and was looking for any opportunity to shoot. A Purloin and a Contact is just that, and is going to find the sniper win, bringing this series 5-3 in favor of Yglini.
That was very interesting. The laser movement, if you believe it, it really feels like they were maybe just starting to reconsider, just starting to formulate other suspects and let Seek be a little bit. But in the end, the BB forces them to make a decision, and as you mentioned, the stop talk, maybe just one thing too many, but it really felt like maybe they were starting to pull that game back.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the sniper movement for me screamed, I want to shoot Seek, but I don't want to be wrong. It's too late in the series, and we're down too much to be wrong. So I feel like if I was to put myself in Harren's shoes, I'm just waiting for the excuse there. But regardless, you will never know. This is Spy Party, and we do our best to cast it and get into the minds of people, even like Noob. And now we will getting onto the library here. Harren down by 2, but library, a map that you can bring stuff back on, a spy's playground, as it's been said before. Harren playing Blondo here, Duke, depending on what you call him, in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yep, and that's 2 in a row for Harren too. If you believe momentum is a thing, wouldn't you think it would matter more in this division maybe than some of the other ones?
Yeah, it's too little for me to consider this momentum at this point, warning track. But I definitely agree that lower divisions is probably where your mental stability in competitive games tends to be weaker. People talk about your mechanical skill or your strategic planning, but oftentimes it comes down to stamina and emotional stability in competitive games. Your inability to stay unbroken through tough losses and tilting moments. And so that's the main thing I'm looking at here for Yglini, to stay strong and really trust your instincts, and more so than that tiny little suspicious thing. Action test microfilm on camera, and that will be an easy shot for Yglini. Takes it with confidence, putting himself up to 6. Match point here on Library.
Yeah, and stops the bleeding, certainly, and now guaranteed at least a point. Hopefully you can exhale a little bit by then. And Harren now fighting for just the one ranking point.
Just the one ranking point. A tie, though, as valuable, really, in SCL as it could be, considering that wins are worth 2 points and ties 1. It's not, your classic 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw. So a tie can really mean the difference later on in the season. Yglini will have to try and do their best here on the Library to make it happen. As Queen here, starting things off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And yeah, the nerves, though, an issue for absolutely everyone. There was someone, I can't remember who, I think they clanked accidentally in a competitive match recently and then gathered themselves to win anyway. Who was that?
Doesn't sound like anyone I would know.
No, I must be imagining it.
I mean, it was on a map that's not even SCL, so is it considered competitive warning track? I mean, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, it's happened. I've red tested in SCL matches, and I almost never red test, except for fingerprints, of course. It happens all the time, and it happens, I think, a little bit more when you're newer to it all.
Weird flex, but okay, I'll take it. I almost never red test. My name's
I have one of the lowest red test rates in SCL, which hardly matters at all. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Are you legit tracking that?
No I wouldn't be
if not,
surprised.
You should be.
Yes,
no
he
comment.
is 100%. He tracks green tests. Why would he not test red tests? Track red tests.
My username isn't warning ignore. It's warning track. I track everything.
Very true. Green microfilm in pocket. A bit of idling here coming out of Yglini, but Library on the recent update did get 15 extra seconds on the clock, meaning that you can. Is it 15 or 30? It might be 30 actually. Either way, it's extra time, which is great for a little for spies. It allows you to be more decisive when you want to be and less rushy, which some of these larger maps sometimes feels like. Unfortunately, though, we step into conversation with the double agent, and the double agent leaves us hanging. So now our plans start to fumble a little bit. We only grabbed one inspect from that statue, and unfortunately, it was the one statue that you don't want to inspect at a triple set, the middle one, if you're going to only single inspect, because it forces, if you want to double inspect, to either head back to middle statues or to the complete opposite side of the map for that. Instead, Purloin, though, white test behind the pillar. Doesn't look like it's been spotted yet. Maybe now it has. Yeah.
The saving grace here is that the fade is behind the pillar, right? So you know it's taken place. And look at the conversation. 3 other highlights in the same conversation. So even if you do that sniper thing of, I'm not sure who it was, so let's assume it's anyone in the area, they're all highlights already.
Low lights coming through. Harren feels very uncomfortable with the potential of who this Purloin could be.
Yeah.
No lowlights have come through, only highlights for it, and now we have so many on the board. What is this? 8 highlights on the board, excluding the ambassador.
Yeah, this party is getting out of control very fast, but here's the thing, you should at least be able to say, okay, who took the drink right when I noticed it? It was Queen. You should be able to at least assign a little bit more suspicion, saying at worst this is a green Purloin victim. So I understand you might not have it narrowed down with the pillar covering, but you should be looking at Queen just a little bit closer right now.
Sniper laser latency on Library, a very difficult thing to get your head around. Yglini picking up the blue book from the shelf is going to attempt to microfilm with an action test transfer sometime down the road. With that out of mind, though, we have Purloin completed 1 inspect and only 30% on our seduce meter. It's actually not looking very good as far as mission complete is concerned to finish here for Yglini.
No. And they shouldn't have to. If they could see the state of this party, I don't think they would try. I think they would figure someone's going to get shot.
Microfilm transfer away from bookshelf. It was on camera, but I don't think noticed based on the fact Harren hasn't shot yet. Here comes the contact. Now we're starting to rush the mission progress. 45 seconds left on the clock. Yglini going to have to put this book back in the shelf. And then we need to attempt inspects and even swap at this point. I think a bug required if we don't want to have to time add. It's all stacking up against Yglini for a spy win.
The bug is lining up right there, though.
But we get the low light for returning the book at this late stage of the game. This is where things could turn on its heels for Yglini. Past the ambassador, will we bug? We do not. It's going to have to be a very quick double inspect and swap. I just don't think we have the time to complete it. We're relying on a miss shot here from Harren.
I think they're just going to get there.
12 seconds. It doesn't matter if they get here. It's 4 out of the 5 missions completed, and we haven't even completed the 3rd one. Oh, unfortunately, Yglini really just sweating in the moment, and it is going to be a timeout coming through from a very winnable game.
Looks that like another freeze up. I mean, could have inspected that statue that they were holding.
Oh, that's so painful to see. They had that. I actually didn't even notice. The reason I said what I did is because it didn't even occur to me they were going to go to a different statue there and just do the one. Oh, that hurts my heart. It really does.
Yeah, just inspect and finish would have been the play there. And unfortunately for Yglini, I don't know if we were just concerned we'd get shot for inspecting, being at the statue at the overtime. I really don't know. But so second time this series, unfortunately.
They've white purloined, and they got low lit for putting the book back, but that's not the kind of thing you could guess you were going to get low lit for. And with the white purloin, you figure you're probably a big suspect. So tentative, I totally understand. On the other hand, if you are trying to finish, you've got to finish. And we're just seeing at the end of these games, the end game is just breaking down around the edges in ways that are actually affecting the outcome. One thing you get really good at over time is just budgeting in those extra 2 or 3 seconds here and there for going to the pad, pausing, picking it up, the action test. It adds up when you're trying to finish things just under the wire.
Pausing, you say?
I don't know what you're talking about. Pausing? Yes, pausing. We do a lot of that.
All right. Anyway, I'm gonna say Harren got a little lucky here and gets another gets 2 chances now, or to win here, or not, or to pull a draw.
Yep.
And Pub Benny 3 of 5 is a map that you certainly can do it on. We'll have to see if they're up to the challenge here. Playing as general, and before we get into it, let's look at what missions they have opted out for. Getting rid of Bug and getting rid of Swap. This is currently my favorite mission setup, and we can talk about it in a bit. Let's get this replay started in 3, 2, 1, playing it. So the reason I like this is because I feel like it gives the spy agency with the Purloin. Bug is a fantastic mission, and honestly, there's an argument to be made that you remove Fingerprint and put Bug on with the Purloin as well. A little bit of a pathing error there from Harren that picks up a highlight. Not how you want to start your spy game required for the win here. But, the Bug is fantastic because if you get it past the sniper, then it is hidden completely. There's no way for the sniper to know what's happened, and it's a hard tell for free. But Purloin, I feel like it allows you to lean into more 50-50 scenarios. Maybe someone's gone to statues, they've been in for a contact. Now you have a mission that forces a 50-50 for the sniper.
I think it really depends on your opponent. I think at higher levels, I agree with you completely. At higher levels, snipers catch bugs even on pub, maybe especially on pub, all the time. It's very hard to get away with. I would say against anyone, say intermediate or below, however you want to define that, you're just that much more likely to get away with the bug, and it's going to take up a lot of their attention relative to someone, say, gold or above. So I think it's really down to how good the sniper's going to be at catching bugs. But the agency point is certainly very well taken.
At this point, unfortunately for Harren, we've had a couple of mistakes as far as pathing and pads and etiquette as well here, which could cost us the game even this early on. He's going to be picking up the briefcase, looking for the fingerprint here, standing in the conversation for maybe just a step too long, something that the sniper may consider suspicious, especially considering we already are a little bit weirded out by the earlier CC entry, conversation circle entry from Harren.
Yeah, it was a very good highlight. We've actually seen a lot of weird conversation positioning, way too close to the center, moving through the center during a briefcase. Rocker did on Ballroom at one point, I think it was, or maybe it was Courtyard. And this one, though, gets noticed because now you're on a 3-5. So now, even someone a little newer to the game is going to be watching for those sorts of things a lot closer than they would on a busier venue.
Yeah, there's only 9 guests that you have to keep your eyes on, excluding cast here. And with Bug turned off, it means you really don't have to pay much attention to where the ambassador is at any given time either, making things maybe easier for you to spot as far as those little pathing errors, conversation entry, weirdness. We're stepping into the conversation with Alice once more. Very quick flirt here. Our first mission complete coming through from Harren. We've got a minute left on the clock. Both double agents are in conversation. More importantly, Walt, the real double agent here, so we could look for that contact, and the ambassador's standing there with the briefcase in hand, so maybe even a print coming our way as well. But it seems that Harren wants to go for a statue visit instead. I don't think the ambassador's been there, so this would just be a second mission completion if I am correct.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is giving you deja vu, but once again,
it's fingerprintable.
Wow.
Okay, this is a mission complete potential. Is Yglini on it? Oh, they are. Yes.
Tough
wow.
shot.
That's been sitting there for ages, but Yglini so confident in the shot, will take it, pushing them to 7, winning the series 7-4 over Harren.
I'm impressed by the shot. It's a tough shot. You have to be very confident after that delay, and you're shooting for a silent game. And Harren, again, though, we saw this all night, right? Get the seduce progress, 1 fingerprint done, nice steady progress. This time, they actually do finish it in 1 go. I kind of like the decision to go silent. I think that's a pretty high percentage play. I think if you say, you know what, if you are a good enough sniper here in Oak with me to shoot for this, congratulations. The question is, do they take that difficult shot without that early conversation entry? That's the thing, if you're Harren, that you're probably going to be obsessing about afterwards.
Yeah, no, it's fair. And I mean, that fingerprint had been sitting there for about a minute and 10 seconds, I think. So being able to be very confident with your suspicion that the fingerprint was there and that it could be completed. That's what makes and breaks Pub NE305, a very difficult sniper map that requires you to pay attention to many aspects of the game that you normally wouldn't be looking at. And for Yglini, it pays off there.
Yeah, because AIs will finish, spies can finish with soft tells, and in that moment, when they do, you have to look at all the non-mission things they did to try to make that decision for you. In this case, I think it might have been the difference.